Joining me now is Rico Phillips of the OHL. Rico, welcome. Why don't we start off by you introducing yourself to us?
Yes, thank you, Joel. I'm the Director of Cultural Diversity Inclusion for the league, and I've been doing this role for going on 3 years now. And my role encompasses so much more than just hockey. And I like to tag my role as more than hockey because we talk about the things that help our players and coaches and staff members be better people as well as better hockey players. And we also go outside of that realm and go into supporting positive energy and environments and atmospheres for our fans and those that come to participate and watch a game or in any way be a part of the OHL. So it's been important work, but it's been fun work for me because it's almost like a second calling.
What do you think is the importance of having a position like yours in our league?
I think the most important thing about having a position like this in our league is that the world, the society that we're living in is ever changing. And we as hockey folks need to understand that we have to change as well. I call it a transformation as opposed to a change because the culture of hockey has been, hasn't had the best of history when it comes to being inclusive for all. And so we're at the cusp of helping to provide those changes by supporting, by educating, and by enhancing the way that we do things in the sport of hockey, specifically in the OHL.
In the last 3 years, being able to have these type of conversations with our players and educating them, do you think it's helped their development on and off the ice as better people, building their character?
I absolutely believe that over the last 3 years, not only have I forged some relationships with players and coaches, but they are reaching out to figure out ways that they can be better people by utilizing platforms to speak on behalf of marginalized groups, for standing up and understanding that within our locker rooms, it is a coveted space that we don't say abusive language, we don't use misogyny. We don't use terms that were marginalized or make someone feel less than a person. It's important because it bonds us better as players and as people. And when you see that, it's a reflection when those players are in their school, when they go to high school, or they're out in the community, or long after the season's over, when they're back in their own personal home communities, how they have become better people by understanding, that there's other folks out there other than themselves. And why is that important? Because we want to be the best people that we can be.
On top of bringing yourself onto the team, what has the OHL done to be more inclusive?
Well, the best way to describe the more inclusive feeling is there's been cause awareness nights that have been much more themed and much more authentic by including and inviting the people that we're celebrating, the groups that we're celebrating. That's just one way that the average fan would notice our more inclusive attempts. From the player standpoint, I think what you're seeing is less of the verbal abuse on the ice, which leads to less of the problems that follow that. When we talk about chirping, anybody that's a hockey person knows what chirping means. We're trying to get folks to understand that what they say is certainly free, but it does not come without consequences. And so you'll see some of the language has changed some, and it may be very subtle. So you wouldn't necessarily notice it right now, but I know for a fact that things have been moving in the right direction.
You mentioned earlier players reaching out to you. What services are available to our players regarding D&I?
Yes, well, there's one way that players have an app on their phones that is unique to the Ontario Hockey League. Each player is called the Anonymous Alerts app. And this isn't necessarily a tattletale app. This is an app for players who can't find a way to discuss an issue or problem that they're having. It's very difficult sometimes to approach a coach or a GM or even their parents with certain topics because they're concerned over their careers and how that may stain their career. But we know that it causes performance issues if they don't deal with crisis that they are dealing with internally. So this anonymous alert app allows them, depending on what area that they may be having an issue with, whether it be DEI issues or social matters or some other matter, that the player has a tool in front of them to address it rather than put it under their hat. And as many players in the past say, well, I made it, I went through it and with no problems without an anonymous alert app, but yet the problems that were byproducts of that still existed. Now we're starting to flush out some of those issues and start to address the issues. And I think that's what's most important.
I think also just having someone like yourself in the league shows our players that there's also someone directly to reach out to as well when they need it.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, Joel. I made it very clear to every one of our players, because I've been to a majority of the teams, met them at their arenas and their locations, and expressed to them that if something was to go wrong, first of all, I reach out to me, and my first call isn't to the commissioner or to the coach or to the GM or to their parents. It's to them to figure out what has happened and what's the best way to approach the situation with their best interest in mind. I also offer an opportunity to befriend someone from a league standpoint. So many times the players look up at the league as though they're untouchable and we don't know who they are. They're just the administrators. Well, I try to bring my personality and my communication style right to the players so that they feel as though there's someone there that's always got their back. And to me, that's one of the most important things that I'm getting from players. When I see them and they fist bump me when they go by and they're excited that I'm there to watch them and be a part of their games or be a part of anything that they're doing, it's been very enhancing for both them and myself, I got to admit.
Finally, looking at the league as a whole and our different teams, how have teams incorporated more inclusive fan activations into their teams this season?
Well, what I've noticed is in certain organizations, they've taken their cause awareness nights to the next level. When you look at places like Peterborough or Saginaw, I don't want to go on mention them all, but there's many that have really enhanced their Pride night. And it isn't just a one-off check the box night. It's including people that are feeling marginalized and making them feel welcome. And I'd have to tell you though, it comes sometimes with some pushback from those that aren't quite ready for the transformation of our society. And that's okay. We want you to understand that we are changing for you and all of our benefit, so that when you come inside any arena, that you see a true reflection of the community that arena is in. So whether it be people of color, people of different sexual identities and genders, and races and ethnicities, religions, we want everyone to feel welcome. And so each organization has been working feverishly to do this. And that's through efforts that we put in place, from creating 4 pillars of support for cause awareness, that being the LGBTQ Pride, Black Heritage Month, International Women's Month, as well as Indigenous Awareness Month. And so those are the 4 pillars that the OHL has set forth. And we see those types of awarenesses taking place at the grassroots and the rink level. So it's been a good year. We're looking for more expansive opportunities for next season. But in the meantime, I'm very proud of the work that's been carried out thus far.
Speaking on the work that you just touched on, we're actually going to take a look at all the different fan initiatives that we've had across the league this season. Thank you so much for your time today, Rico. I appreciate you and all the work you do in the league, and best wishes to you.
Thank you so much, Joel. It's certainly my pleasure. And this is an incredible journey that I'm taking, and I hope that more are willing to take that journey with me.